I look at you or I look at the camera?
Anyways. So you're being the communication advisor since 2014 to the Andhra Pradesh government. How has your journey been and what are the challenges that you faced during the tenure?
Well, you see, it was a new state. It was challenging because, see, the state was divided and we all had a feeling that the state was divided unscientifically and the Andhra Pradesh part of it has got a raw deal. Therefore, there are a couple of challenges for communication. First of all, we need to tell the people that we are in dire straits. We were wronged. We had a huge revenue deficit. We don't have a capital. We don't have industry. And the assets and liabilities were unfairly distributed between the two states. So this is one reason. The second thing is that we also need to convince the people, in spite of having all these financial problems arising out of the division, we need to, of course, do the welfare programs, somehow get the money from somewhere, mobilize the resources, even if it means that we need to take loans and approach the World Bank and other people who would fund certain projects, Government of India, and then of course build a capital with the land that is pooled by the farmers, because we do not have money to buy land. We don't have that kind of money. So all these need to be properly communicated. Now, when it comes to communication, not all the government departments and department heads understand the requirements of communication, its uniformity, its effectiveness, how it should be done, etc. They're not tuned to that. They don't understand the difference between publicity and communication. They think everything is publicity. Everything need not be publicity. Suppose if I'm putting out a hoarding, they want the entire list of government schemes to be written on that. These days, people are not there to stand and stare at a hoarding and read the entire thing. One at a time is the effective way of doing. But then if you have, say, a front page advertisement, it has full page advertisement. Suppose if I decide to have a design which has only 2 or 3 items, with a lot of relief and good picture, etc. I say, why are you wasting so much of space? You fill it in entirely, but that will. So there are certain challenges like that because there is a difference between their outlook and a professional outlook. So you need to convince them sometimes. Every time if you say your idea is not right, it doesn't, because next time you can't really win the argument. Every time you can't win the argument. Sometimes you concede. Sometimes you get your way. Sometimes you concede. Sometimes you get the way. That is the kind of thing that was a challenge. Therefore, at the end of the day, you have a mixed success because it wasn't possible to do everything your own way, everything that you wanted to do. You need to have some kind of a give and take and concede kind of thing. So this is the kind of experience that I've had. Working with government is definitely a big challenge, especially in areas like these.
Okay. So a lot of these days, political parties are hiring public relation agencies. So do you think that they are just hiring them to create a positive image for themselves or to spread a propaganda or to spread their ideologies or whatever it is?
You see, there are two things. As they say in the trade, you can't put lipstick to a pig. So if the government is not really doing much and if it is not popular, no public relations agencies can do anything. You need to do solid work. And then it is of course legitimate for a government or any entity for that matter to see that what they are doing is effectively communicated. It's entirely justifiable. It's entirely legitimate for them to do that. But then what happens is, if you try to put a spin by saying something without doing it, or giving a lot of promises and not delivering, and then trying to whitewash the whole thing and hiring an agency, asking them to do a public relations thing, see that certain things don't come in the papers. The governments have a muscle. I've seen how governments have a muscle. Preventing newspapers from not filing a story or doing a favorable story. These things ultimately don't work. So, unless a government or any other entity does solid work, does good work, and of course, the way you can handle it differently, the way I can handle it in a different way, you can be more effective than I do. Because, see, government ministers and officers and politicians, they have no time. Probably they are capable, but they have no time. They are busy with a lot of other things. They have no time to think how to effectively communicate this, how to convey this. What should be the graphic? What should be the wording? What should be the language? What should be the length? And what is the frequency? Which publications? All these will have to be decided in order to see that your communication is effective, your publicity is effective, your message is conveyed properly. So, an agency definitely helps, but without government doing real work, no agency can help.
So you've been a political observer and a commentator for a very long time. So what's your take on the current political scenario of the country?
That's a huge question. It's a huge question. But you see, the general feeling, my own opinion, let's put aside for a while. Generally, overall, what is happening is that the government at the center has come to power in 2014 with a lot of promise and raised a lot of expectations. Now today, is it possible to really deliver everything in 5 years' time, the kind of expectations that one has raised? And then many people tell me that, look, we have expected that, we have expected this. Probably it's unrealistic expectation, maybe unrealistic promise, we do not know. But then at that juncture, that's what happened. So today people are thinking, it could have been done better, things should have been better. But then, there are people who would say that, look, this is possible in this short span of time, and we have done our best. That is the kind of narrative that we hear from the central government. That is the kind of narrative that we hear from several state governments, including Andhra Pradesh government or Telangana government, or now of course you just had an election in Karnataka, otherwise the Tamil Nadu government or Madhya Pradesh government, etc. There are problems, and what do people expect from a government is not 100% solution to a problem. They are pretty realistic about that. What they expect is that there is a very sincere effort going on to solve these problems. If that is found lacking, then of course there is going to be a huge problem for the governments. 2019, I feel that while there is some kind of a dissatisfaction, some degree of dissatisfaction, but then there is no credible alternative to the existing government. So there is nobody who could come up and say, look, these two things were not done, but if you elected somebody else, they would do better, they would deliver these two also. That kind of a talk, it has not yet come.
So my last question is about how these days there's a lot of fake news that's going on in WhatsApp messages, and a lot of people say that it is sent by political organizations because they have some vested interests in it. So do you think this kind of popular opinion is true, and if yes, how do we tackle this problem?
Oh, fake news has become a huge menace now. You can see a lot of disturbances are taking place, lynching takes place, and a lot of tension in many areas you can find. It is because of fake news or because of false news being circulated. But then, you see, there is no hard evidence to pin down one organization or the other as somebody who is doing this deliberately. Now, you can find a beneficiary of something. So you can be a beneficiary, I can be a beneficiary, but a beneficiary is that if you are benefited by something, does that mean that you have created it? I don't know. Unless you have hard evidence. You have to be, if you don't have evidence to pin down somebody, then again that becomes a false news, isn't it? That's a false accusation. On the one hand, having said that, I must also say that one should be, as I said in this lecture today, that institutions should call out fake news, establish that it is fake, and circulate the fact check or the correction as speedily, as rapidly as the fake news itself. So that immediately, see, what is happening with social media is, when you get something, the actual tendency, the psychological tendency, which is, scientifically proved, is that if you get something, you just have a glance at it, and if you think it appears to be interesting, before you really go through the entire article or a write-up or something, you would share with 30 people. After sharing, you would read it. That is the tendency. 9 out of 10 people do that. Therefore, fake news, any news, verify, read. If you think it is reasonably credible, only then share. Otherwise, don't share.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for joining us here.